But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
I am going to rate every Star Wars show that's coming out this year, or supposedly, because I don't know if we know if Acolyte's coming out this year, based on hype. Now, I've been kind of slowly rewatching season 2 of Mandalorian. Basically, if I have a little bit of downtime and I'm just hanging out with my kid, I'll just throw Mandalorian season 2 on, which I'm on. I am on the tragedy episode, which is episode 6, I believe, something along those lines. Yeah, I think episode 6. I skipped the passenger episode because I just didn't really need to watch it. I know what happens, but Mandalorian season 2 is just so good. And although Mando and Grogu are back together already because of Book of Boba Fett, obviously we kind of know what's going to happen with the whole Mandalore plot. So I think I gotta put this in S tier. I really want to know what's going to happen with Grogu. I want them to give us some actual background information on how he escaped the temple, who saved him, who captured him, whichever it is. And I want to get some answers to that. Maybe not all the answers. Maybe we have a couple more questions that come from the answers we get. But I want to get some of the answers to where Grogu was kept, why he was kept, was he a secret, what happened to his memory, all that fun stuff. Who saved him? Who's going through that door in the trailer? I want to know these things. Sorry. But yeah, I am very hyped for Mandalorian season 3. And honestly, it's like, what, a month and a week away? That's kind of crazy. Because just a second ago, it feels like it was months away. And now it's like a month away. Bad Batch is still going to be coming out around that time, which is crazy. Which, speaking of Bad Batch, I really hope it picks up. I'll get to there when I get there. But man, that last episode was disappointing after the episode we got the week prior. But moving on to Ahsoka. Now, Ahsoka. There is so much that I think they'll do with Ahsoka. The thing is, we don't have a trailer for it, obviously. Which I bet we'll get a trailer for Ahsoka for Celebration, which is in April, I believe. But actually, when does Ahsoka come out? Just sometime 2023. So I'm guessing that we'll get, because Mandalorian will probably be going halfway into April or so. So I'm assuming we'll be getting an Ahsoka trailer around the end of Mandalorian during Star Wars Celebration. And then it'll probably be in, like, my guess it'll come out, if everything's going fine and dandy, around July? If we get the first trailer in April, my guess would be the show comes out in July. But anyway, there is Thrawn, there is Ezra, there is Sabine, there is Hera. Hell, at this time she's probably seen Luke, maybe even Luke. Imagine Luke thrown in with all those characters. Oh, so it's an S above Mandalorian. I am so hyped for Ahsoka, and I'm assuming Dave will be heading the whole thing, and Dave we trust. There's just so many possibilities, and like, obviously I kind of like the graphics they're doing with Ahsoka, like the world between worlds idea. I wonder if they're going to branch off of that, because we're also getting Clone Wars version of Ahsoka. So then maybe we get Clone Wars versions of Anakin and Obi-Wan and Rex, and there's so much that could happen, and we just don't know. I mean, we kind of know the basis of it. I think it's basically going to be her going after Thrawn. But other than that, I don't know what we'll see. Which I think the mystery of that kind of outgrows a little bit the questions from Mandalorian. Just a little bit, because Ahsoka just has connections to so many more characters that are, I guess, mainstream Star Wars characters that people love a little bit more than Mandalorian. But there's so many ways that it could go that just has me a little bit more hyped than Mandalorian. The thing with Mandalorian is that Grogu and what happened to him, where he's from, all that stuff, how the Jedi Temple and the Jedi in general came about, Grogu. There's so many questions. Those two shows might bring Star Wars back, because obviously there were a lot of shows this past year, and some of them were more disappointing than others. I don't know if any of the Star Wars shows, in my opinion, lived up to the hype that they got. Like Obi-Wan, I really enjoyed Obi-Wan, but there were some things that happened where I could have enjoyed it more. And Book of Boba Fett, the more I look back on it, the more I'm like, man, I really just wish it was Boba Fett just going full bounty hunter. Like, I love the whole Tusken Raider storyline. That is so good. But then he's like all like calm, cool, collected, kind of good guy Boba Fett, which is an interesting character arc, but I think we just wanted to see him just be ruthless, kind of like what we saw in Mandalorian Season 2. So, moving on. Bad Batch Season 2. So, I'm recording this the night of the 5th episode coming out. So the last episode was Faster, which was an episode. It was fun. It was like one of those early Clone Wars episodes that was just like, it was fun to watch, but it's not like you'll go back and watch it again on purpose. And I've said this multiple times, the downside of Bad Batch compared to Clone Wars is that Bad Batch, you're stuck with similar characters in a specific timeline where they're kind of restricted. Where in Clone Wars, we could have had the same story with different Jedi that we've never met before that we could have gotten known through the episode. Whereas in this, we already knew the characters, and then things just kind of happened. So, and even then, the first 2 episodes, the 2-episode premiere was kind of alright. And obviously I'm hyped for it. I want to know what's going on with Mount Tantus, the clones, Omega, all that stuff. So I'm definitely hyped to see where the main story goes. But I don't know how many episodes of the, 16 episode season? Is that how many episodes there were? I don't remember. Let's see here. 16. I don't know how many of those episodes are going to be about the stuff that I'm curious about. So because of that, I'm going to realistically and fittingly give Bad Batch a B. Because there's some really cool stuff about Bad Batch that we can learn about the overall Star Wars universe and this time period specifically. But I just don't know how much we're going to get. And yeah, because like I mentioned, the clones, Nala Se, Mount Tantus, basically all that's one thing. But then Omega, Crosshair, Cody, what's Cody going to do? Will we see Rex again this season? I believe we almost certainly will. I don't remember. There is a lot that they can go with. But how much of it is going to be Sid missions? That is my worry. Skeleton Crew. Now, I don't know much about this. It centers on a group of children lost in space. It's a story of their journey trying to find their way home. So that itself isn't the most intriguing. So I'm assuming it's Jude Law finding a group of children, force sensitive, not really sure, and then trying to find their way home. It's like, oh, okay, that's not too much going on, right? But then also we know that they're going to introduce Dathomirian witches to Skeleton Crew. And then it's like, oh, okay, so it could definitely go places. but we don't know too much about Skeleton Crew yet. So my hype levels for it aren't too high. So I'm also going to give Skeleton Crew a B behind Bad Batch, because we know what we can expect from Bad Batch and what we could get. Skeleton Crew, we don't know much. The plot is kind of thin right now based on just getting children home, so we're not really sure what that entails. But then the old twist with Dathomirian witches, it's like, oh, okay, we're going to explore the origins of Dathomirian witches. Now, how much in the forefront will that be in the show? I'm not sure. But either way, just that little spice, little salt-based spice on top of the kind of basic plot line really makes me interested in it. Again, I don't really know what else I can say. There was a still that came out of Jude Law on Skeleton Crew, and he has a hood up. That's about it. Alright, so Young Jedi Adventures. This is going to be... Let's look up this one too. Young Jedi Adventures. Yeah, let's go here. Classes of aspiring Jedi younglings are set to enter the High Republic. Oh, I forgot that this is during the High Republic period. Okay. But it's created for preschoolers, early grade school, and families. So, there's not going to be too much go on during this. Obviously, they're not going to introduce a brand new character or, like, Star Wars mechanic. But it might just be a fun watch. So, again, not really expecting much from it, but it might be, like, a fun watch. I'll watch it with my kid, probably, when it comes out. Even though he won't understand anything that's going on by that time, probably. But, you know, I'll give it a watch. Admittedly, I haven't watched Resistance yet, which I got through the first episode, and I was watching it fairly late at night, probably around this time. I was real tired after the first episode. But I'm going to try to make it through the first season and see what I think of the series as a whole, because initially, Rebels kind of put me off by its style, but Rebels, at its peak, matches Clone Wars and could potentially exceed Clone Wars in the Star Wars lore. But either way, Young Jedi Adventures, a C in hype. Like, I'll watch it when it comes out. The trailers might interest me, but beyond that, Visions Season 2. I believe with Season 2 of Visions, we are getting more diverse studios and animation styles. So it's not all going to be like anime, I believe. So I think there's going to be more of a mixture in there. Which Visions Season 1 was fun. I'm glad they kind of just released it all at once, and then we can just watch it as we wanted to watch it. We didn't have to wait weekly for the next story to come out. Because it was just some fun stories. Some were better than others. Some were kind of mediocre, maybe even bad. But the peak of Visions was pretty great. Peak of Visions was pretty great Star Wars. And I think the best part about it is it's non-canon. So they can literally do whatever they want. Which, Lucasfilm, Disney, just give us an animated Old Republic series. I do not give a crap if it's canon. Just Old Republic, adult animation, awesome storylines. The only reason I'm saying adult is so then you can tackle more adult-themed plots. But even in Clone Wars and Rebels, they had some pretty ridiculous things that happened. So even then, you don't have to cater to just like adult animation. Because Visions can be hit and miss, I'm also going to give this a B. I think behind Skeleton Crew, just because Visions won't be canon. So there's not a whole lot I'm waiting for or anticipating or hyped about for Visions. It'll just be a fun thing to watch when it releases. Now finally, Acolyte. So I just went over like a couple of Acolyte news. Well, not a couple. One thing about Acolyte, and it's Daphne Keene's potential character name, which if you haven't watched that, go watch that. Up there, yeah, I got the direction right. But her name could potentially be Jackie, or it's her code name, her character's code name. If it's Jackie, it's a very name. Either way, there were some stills that came out that looked really interesting. Daphne Keen's character herself has a very interesting style. The time period is brand new to live action, and they could do so much. And especially if it focuses on the dark side, which we haven't really had any series do that, that could be really cool. The Acolyte, much like Bad Batch, going with an A to Acolyte as the B to Bad Batches. Acolyte, there's just similar to Skeleton Crew, which even Skeleton Crew, I think we know more what's going to happen in Skeleton Crew. Well, not no more. We've heard more about what's going to happen in Skeleton Crew than we have in Acolyte. Acolyte, there's just so much upside to Acolyte. Now, it could be this whole thing that is very, like, blown out and could be just very mediocre. Could be. But I'm hoping it's not. Because if that pops off, maybe we can get some more shows around that area and we can get away from the Skywalker saga. Like, I love Mando, I love Ahsoka, I love all this stuff set around the same era as Skywalker saga, but, like, come on, there's thousands and thousands of years of Star Wars lore you could build. You could start something new. You don't have to build off old things. You could just do something new. And then people won't get so upset if you ruin their character. Like, if they took Last Jedi and put it in a time period no one knew about, people would probably say that's the best Star Wars movie ever made. But just because it kind of messes with Luke Skywalker, people got upset. Maybe this is tired me talking, but I feel like if Last Jedi was just set like 1,000 years in like High Republic or Old Republic or 1,000 years into the future, people would probably receive it much better, and people wouldn't hate it and be as divisive about it. But yeah, I think this is my list, mainly because of the possibilities of the Young Jedi Adventures being in High Republic, like just seeing that on screen, High Republic specifically. That's the only reason why it's a C and not a D. Because I'm going to watch all of it, probably. I guess I shouldn't say that, because again, I haven't watched Resistance, but also like the cell shade of Resistance is kind of off-putting. It's just like very kid-friendly. It's like something I'd watch right after Paw Patrol. No digs at Paw Patrol. You do you. I think that's a solid list. Now I'm probably going to edit a short, get that uploaded, go feed my kid and pass out. It's getting about that time. I'm tired. Whew, this is tough. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you. Can you do something useful? Be cute. Get me views from cuteness. Do something cute. You're not even gonna meow for me?